Good morning, good morning,
Good
good
morning.
morning. We are having another Thursday of the Global Talk Experience. I hope you ladies and gents, if you're out there, I hope, because we want men and women to join us. We hope y'all are having another wonderful Thursday. And as always, I am your host, Nick. And she is your host, Sonia. I think she's a little frozen right now, but that's okay. No worries. No worries. No worries. There she is. Okay. So, yes, and there she is, my host, Sonia. Hallelujah. We thank you, Jesus, for another day. So, how
Yes.
y'all doing out there in social media land? We want to talk about this morning about your strong friend, right? I know for me, I'm that strong friend. I don't know about some of y'all out there, but I definitely am. And I know Sonia is as well. So we definitely can't wait to get in and dive deep into this conversation.
Yes.
But for right now, we want to make sure that we stay in order. We want to go ahead and uh, acknowledge our spiritual parents, Pastor Gerald and Pastor Marquita of Faith
Yes.
Culture Church. And we just thank you for all that you do. And we thank you for always making sure that we are covered in everything that we decide that we would like to do. We always come up with all these great ideas, and our spiritual parents are always welcoming and covering us in every area. So we thank you for that. Also, I want to honor my husband, Pastor Brandon Woodson, with also Faith Culture Church, but he is the campus pastor for Faith Culture Church South. So, shout out to you out there. And we also want to introduce our lovely speaker who's here, Miss Janice Rockman. And Sonia, you have everything that you would like to introduce her for?
Well, I'm not just going to let her introduce herself because she knows herself well. So why don't
Yes.
you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. And good morning. Can you guys use your feedback? Because I'm hearing an echo. Do you guys hear it too?
I'm having an echo too.
You are? Okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's
I'm
okay.
going to
That's
try
okay.
putting in earbuds, and maybe that will help, although I'm hearing it from your side too. So,
And Sonia, if you have more than one thing open, she's gonna fix it. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, because we're
okay,
live.
great.
So yeah, go ahead and talk.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm going to just try to talk over my own echo. Let's see here. Okay, so good morning. What did you want to know?
Yeah,
Did you just want me to
let
give
everybody
a
know who you are
introduction?
out there.
Great.
And, despite all these technical difficulties, you know how the enemy is sometimes when we have a fire word coming. So it's all right. So we're just going to keep it moving. So go ahead and
Yeah,
explain and
sure.
tell everybody who we know who you are. And that's why we invited you. So you need to let everybody else know out there who you are because we're excited.
Sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Happy Thursday. Good morning, America and abroad. I'm glad to be joining the global experience.
Thank you.
I am Denise Hoffman. Some know me as 𝗍𝗏 or Jenny. I work as a neuropsychotherapist, which means that I treat clients, patients from a brain-based perspective, and I specialize in areas of addiction, trauma, and family systems. And in my spare time, under the umbrella of mental health care, I work in public policy to help inform and move laws so that we can have ethical care and treatment for individuals across the country. And then, of course, I do media commentary where my mission is to help make conversations around mental health mainstream in media. So that's kind of some of what I do in my professional life, and I'm glad to be here this morning.
Yes, ma'am. And we're glad to have you. There she is. She is back. Hallelujah. Thank you. And you look better in the screen too. So whatever you did, praise God. All right. Let's keep it moving. So Miss Janice just got, and good morning, Yesenia. We see you out there. I see your comment. Good morning, everybody out there. So Janice just got done introducing herself and giving
Excellent.
us a little bit of background on who she is. And as you guys can already see from the title, she fits right into what exactly we need to be talking about this morning. So Miss Ansonia, do you want to start us off about what exactly in detail we are talking about regarding strong friends?
So today we're just, I'm excited about this topic because I'm definitely one of those strong friends, and it's very difficult to find others that are in that same, mindset about being a strong friend. And I usually connect myself with a lot of type A personalities. And so with all of that, sometimes it becomes a struggle. Um, but what I find is that many people don't always think that the strong friends are always okay. They don't need any encouragement. They don't need anybody to check on them. And that is so far from the truth. And
Yes.
so I really am liking the topic and diving into that because we'll be talking about how strong friends are human too, and that we definitely need encouragement. We'll talk about some of the challenges and opportunities that we have to go through and deal with each and every day.
Yes.
Um, we'll talk about, that cliche of, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? And our standard stop entry is fine.
Right.
But the reality of it is that we're not fine, but we really don't know or have anyone that we can relate to be able to share that type of situation with it. So
Right.
we invited a guest on because she's going to be able to help us to explore some of the topics that we have and give us some solutions on how we can be more transparent as strong men and women.
Yes, yes, yes. And you know what? And if you're okay with it, I want to give a little like a little background story on me, on how I'm a strong friend and how it's affected me. And then maybe we can kind of go around the room and kind of give a little testimony of your own as well. So for me, being a strong friend, I definitely can relate. I can relate, because I'm always the one that will send the text message. Hey, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you in 10,000 years. How's it going? How are you feeling? I heard you weren't feeling good the last time I spoke. Let me check up on you. I'm the type of friend that said, if I'm going to pray with you, I'm going to pray for you, then I definitely am going to check up on you and make sure that, you're doing good. Make sure the prayers came through. You don't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna pray for you," and walk off. I want to know.
Right.
I want to know if I still need to pray. I want to know if I still need to. Maybe I need to dig a little deeper. Maybe there's something else that happened, or anything like that. So there's so many things that I've poured out, right? We say pour out. So many times I've poured out. And then when I need that friend, right? I want to meet up for lunch. Please, I need to talk. Or, hey, I'm calling you. Did you, I'm this is my third time. I'm not a stalker, so I'm not going to call another time. But when they need me, I'm picking up the phone, right? I am making sure, okay, she wants to meet for lunch. Maybe there's something, going on, let me get there, oh, you need prayer for this? Of course. But it seems like when it's on the other foot, I'm busy pouring out, but nothing's getting poured back in. So in my perspective, I'm believing that I'm almost being taken advantage of, right? Or I feel like, it's almost like a leech, a spiritual leech, if I could say that, because they're just sucking and sucking and sucking, and then that's it. You're left drained, right? You leave the meeting or you leave the lunch feeling drained. And that's not exactly how a relationship should be. That the person's going through something, you're trying to be there, or if you're going through something, they're not there. It's just like, gosh, it's just like, what is this? Is this called a friendship, or am I your counselor? And if so, I need to be charging, right? So, what about you, Ansonia?
Did you want to weigh in to do some of that?
I'm going around the room, so whoever's next.
Sure,
So,
yeah. I'm happy to jump in. I'm amused by your light humor, your touch of humor as you're sharing that. You know, I think that a lot of our relational patterns, not in every case, but I think in most cases, they're set up early on.
Yeah.
So we sort of begin patterns and grooves, not only in our way of seeing the world, but literally in those neural pathways that we have in our brain. And our reviewers may not be able to see this really well, but anyone that knows me and ever sits across the couch from me knows I always have some sort of diagram. Yeah, I think with the light it may be too difficult, but oh no, that's not too bad. Anyway, there's these lines in the brain. These are pathways that are formed over time, and we'll talk more about it later. But I think we definitely get used to filling certain roles in our families, and then a lot of times we carry that into we kind of keep recreating those relationship dynamics until we become aware of it. I know for me, you were asking about my personal experiences. Definitely the sister, definitely the person with the cape, the hero, make sure everybody's okay. And so if I weren't careful or didn't have my own intervention and self-awareness later in my life, I would have continued to create those imbalanced relationship dynamics. Pouring, giving, and maybe not even expecting something back, or maybe not even comfortable with it because I've gotten so adjusted to, well, just give and I'll be okay. I'll figure it out later. So that definitely was my experience.
That is so good. Making sure not to expect
Yeah.
you from them, right? You know, and I think that's what gets us in trouble. It gets our feelings hurt, is because we are expecting, you know, I'm expecting the way I am from this person.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think too, we have to be careful. The terms self-regulation and self-soothing come to mind. A lot of times we think about self-soothing in early childhood development when we're working with infants and toddlers, but honestly, self-soothing is a skill that we should carry with us throughout the duration of our lifespan. Because a lot of us really were never taught healthy, helpful, or just practical coping mechanisms to self-soothe. So a lot of times the first thing we do is pick up the phone and call somebody to feel better, or we text somebody to feel better, or we text someone else to decide how we should conduct our entire lives, because we don't know how to trust ourselves, we don't know how to follow our gut, we don't know how to follow the divine guidance that's within us, and also we don't know how to self-soothe or self-regulate. So we use those relationships to do that, and that's not really a sustainable, you know, dynamic long term.
Yes.
Janine, can you do me a quick favor? You're echoing.
Yeah.
Can I have you log
Maybe it's your
and log?
earbuds too. It could be your earbuds.
It was echoing with it.
Speak.
I'm not sure, but help me troubleshoot. Let me know. What do you recommend?
That sounds good.
So you don't hear an echo now?
I hear an echo.
I don't.
You do.
And our viewers are hearing the echo.
Yeah, I can hear it whenever any of us speak. I'm hearing it for myself or either of you. So, and this is the only device that I have logged into the room. So I'm not sure. But let me know what you recommend. I can either come out and come back in if that helps. But I do hear it around the table, so to speak.
I'm like, yeah,
If you could just try that.
I don't hear it on my end.
Oh, good. Okay. Would you say Asanya?
Go ahead and log out and log back in and let's see if that works.
Okay, so let's keep talking.
So I was going to kind of branch on something with you that you were talking about earlier. So Nick and I, we've known each other for about, I'm going to use that as an example in my testimony. So we've known each other for probably like 5 years, but really we had both type A personalities, we're both iconic leaders. We have businesses on the side, so we're very busy. And I think both of us had been trained for the right type of friend. And I would have never thought because of our personalities that we would have connected, but I'm telling you, it was definitely a God ordained connection. And we become so very close in our endeavors, and we can communicate, we can agree to disagree, we cannot agree, and we still come back with no issue. And you really don't find very many friendships that are able to go through that type of transparency with one another and still be as close as we are. We can talk about anything, we disagree, we haven't agreed on some things. But one thing that we will do is, I don't care how upset we are about something, we are definitely going to check in the next day. We're going to make sure that there's no prayer need. We're going to make sure that she doesn't need anything or I need anything. Mad and all,
Yes.
we're going to do that. And you
Yes.
just don't find those type of relationships as we're talking about strong friends, because most friends fall out and they're done. But we have to remember that friendships take work, just like relationships.
Like a marriage.
We're not going to all be all, warm and fuzzy all the time. And then the other part of it is that things that she does that I think need correction, or things that I do that need correction, we get in there and muddle in that, because we want to be the best at what we do in business, in ministry, and then in our relationships. And so even though I may not like some things that she says, or she may not like some things that I say, we work through it and we come out on top.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that, because you just don't find those type of relationships anymore.
No, no. And it's like what you said in the beginning of our relationship. You said, this is like this. Listen, when I am in a committed relationship, any relationship, I treat it like a marriage. And that is so true. And I've never had a friend say that before. That is so true. True relationships take work. And you're right. We are going to disagree, because no matter how much you and I are alike, and our birthday is one day apart. So no matter what, we're going to disagree, right? But it's how quickly can you bounce back during so my husband and I always do a yearly checkup with our marriage. So even though we don't have any problems, we still go into our pastor's office once a year, right before our anniversary. So it'll be November, we'll probably go. And we do it anyway, just for a checkup, right? And I remember the last year we went, Pastor Gerald said, no matter, how I know that you guys have grown is because how quickly you guys get in a disagreement and already right back. Exactly. And that's what it's about. Hi, Janice. Welcome back.
Thank you. Okay, I did that delay. Thank you to see if there was going to be an echo after.
I know. I
Okay.
was so scared. I was like, ah. Okay.
I know.
All right. So
I can still hear it. I'm going to try and log on from a laptop. I'm not sure if the camera will be as effective or not, but either way, we're going to continue to move forward.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Let's please. Okay. So what about you, Janice? Have you been that strong friend?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that because a lot of us love to give, and it brings us joy to see other people winning and doing well, it's easy to just continue to do that. I think also too, in terms of self-care, something that I've had to learn more is to look back within and make sure I'm taking care of myself, so that I'm not focusing on other people in a way to avoid taking care of myself or doing my own inner work, because that's also something I think that sometimes we can do as human beings. And I know I definitely have done that. And then another thing that's kind of interesting, and I think this is cultural in particular, not just for women, but speaking specifically to women, depending on how you grew up and how you saw women in your life function, you may have seen like that martyr role where it's like, everything for everyone, everything for the family, everything for the business, or whatever it is. And I'll come last,
Right.
that martyr deal. And so just being careful not to lean into that space, so that we can have a, proper balance in our lives. And so, yeah, that's definitely been something that's shown up for me in particular, with just the giving and giving and giving, and not taking that time to do my own self-care or do my own work.
Yes, your own
I've,
self-care.
I've had to learn that as well, in terms of ensuring that I'm taking care of me, because one thing that you said that really hit me in the heart was, we are givers, and we are constantly looking to make sure that everyone else is happy, our family, our friends, even extended families to others. I'm always looking for people that are in need, to see if there's something that I can do to assist and help them, whether it be clothes or money or, resources, connection. But one thing that I'm learning, even in this year, is ensuring that I am taking care of me, taking those mental breaks. And what I've done more since I've met, since Nick and I have been in a relationship, is I literally go out more. We go out to dinner. We get to have meetings. I do more fellowshipping, because I feel safe. I think and I'm sure you probably agree with it too, with the counselor background as well, is that I like deep conversations. I'm not a surface talker. And so just the little chit chat doesn't work for me. I need to have deep conversations, because that's
Dialogue.
really what nurtures my soul.
Right.
And so being with someone that can go there anytime we need to go there is so rewarding for me. And so being out with people that I can relate to, that I can connect with, that I can really go deep and not just have to have those surface conversations, is that self-care for me as well. I love massages, so I definitely do more of that. And really just kind of moving my body and exercising a little more. So really taking some of those things that I haven't done in a very, very, very long time, to make sure that, because of us being in this COVID season, we're not out as much. And so many people are pulling on us right now, and we're giving. I mean, I thought I gave before, but I'm giving out so much right now. And I definitely need the pouring in, as Nick talked about earlier, and you as well. We definitely need to make sure that there's that, what am I saying? The feedback, I guess, that is going both ways,
Dialogue,
which is
dialogue.
Right.
we're getting poured into as well.
That it's reciprocal, or that it's,
Yes, absolutely.
And I know since the pandemic started, there's been a 52% increase, uptick in spike in mental health care resources, or the need for resources, and folks looking for help. And so, yeah, for anyone that was ever in a helping profession or helping field, that is now multiplied significantly. And I don't think that we're going to see the end of it very soon, because there's a domino effect, and then there was a trauma effect just from what has happened in this pandemic alone.
Wow, God is so good. The echo is gone.
Yeah, I think the echo is gone, and I am smiling from the inside out.
Yes. So what I did was, as y'all are talking, I'm muting myself. So, and then I started muting Ansonia while you were talking. So I'm over here playing switchboard.
Nice. I love it. I kept thinking in my head, I was like, I think there's something we do in Zoom meetings when this happens, and it has something to do with muting. So you figured it out. Okay, good. If you see me switch one more time, I'm just going back to my good camera. But I'm ready to go. Another thing I do want to mention too is like this idea of relationship dynamics that we don't always think of. Oftentimes we don't realize what is codependent in our relationship style. And so again, whenever we're using another person to self-regulate, to self-soothe, to seek our sense of identity, and we are so connected with what they're feeling or needing them to feel what we're feeling, that is a sign of codependence. And there's entire organizations like CODA, C-O-D-A, Codependence Anonymous, that are dedicated to helping heal and correct and realign codependent relational patterns. But a lot of us are raised with those patterns. So we go into friendships looking for them. Fix me, make me feel better. I need. I call it energy vampires.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And so I don't want to just talk about the toxic or unhealthy part of that, but on the healthier spectrum of that, then it would be
interdependence, where I give, you give, we exchange, and we're not looking for the exact thing. This isn't a thing for tit for tat. This isn't making love or friendships transactional, but we are looking for reciprocity and reciprocation, and being clear also on which friends are which. So you may get different things from different friends, and it doesn't mean that you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, but you may need to reposition them and not expect so much from one particular person. Once someone has shown you where they are, once you've articulated what you would prefer, once you've stated what you would rather have happening, and once you've expressed yourself, then at some point, I think it's up to us to say, okay, let me realign this and stop expecting this from this person, because it may be unfair. They may not be available to give that, or they may not have that level of vulnerability or space.
So do you feel that the strong friend is a high maintenance friend, or do you think it is important for the relationship to be both ways?
I think that I actually think the strong friend is, if you were to scale it on maintenance, I think that's actually the low maintenance friend. Because that's usually the friend is like, if they are drowning, they're not asking for a life raft. They're like, I'll find one of my own. It's all right. Or it's a friend that they work through all their stuff and then they tell you about it. Guess what I was going through last year around this time? It's like, what? So no, I do think that it's more low maintenance, honestly. What was the second part of your question, Nick?
I was just wondering, because I've had some people say that they feel like a high it's almost like a high maintenance, like I gotta call you all the time, or you want me to always do that, almost like a high maintenance, when they are so used to just, maybe two people that are strong just can't be friends. I don't know, but then I don't know, because me and Sonia do it. So
it can be done.
I don't know.
It can be done. Trust me. I just spent like a week with about 15 women who were all on the same octave of high strength friend, high octane, high quality, strong friends. All of them, I think. And we did wonderfully together, and we interacted wonderfully together. And I think that the healthier you are, the more balanced you are, the more centered and grounded you are in the seat of your own soul, your own purpose, who you are, self and source, you and God, then I think you're able to align and flow through those relationships kind of seamlessly. I do think, though, I could see how someone could say you want too much, because if you're the strong friend and you're giving, and they're like, hey, yo, can you like send me a telegram sometimes? I could see how somebody might be like, oh, you want all of this. And again, I think they have the right to feel that way, but then I think it's kind of up to us to take our power and keep our power and just be like, all right, I respect that. I'm going to love you. And I don't mean it in this condescending way, like, I'll love you where you are, but where really, like, I'm going to allow you to be who you are. Thank you for showing me where you are so I can know how to show up clearly in your life. Wow. So it's like a garden. It just absolves you of that extra work trying to prune your garden and de-weed it and try to figure out what's choking the life out. It's like, well, maybe I need to reposition this. Maybe it's out of alignment. So it's okay that let them have their opinion. At least you know where they stand.
Yeah. It could be disappointing. It could be disappointing. And then, also, a lot of the people, that it's so important to realize too, that strong friend that you feel like is, oh, that person's fine. Sometimes they are battling the most, because they are having to, keep up with the I'm strong, I'm good. And I can say that, I can raise my hand and be vulnerable, and say that normally when I'm always the one that's reaching out, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how are you feeling? It's almost trying to heal me a little bit, because I kind of want that as well, because I'm going through something right then and there. And, you don't want to just, and because I'm so strong, right? I don't want to be like, hey, I'm going through something. Can you call me? I don't have that. I guess when God was passing that out, like I was in the bathroom or something, I missed it. I don't know. I missed that little button, that says, hey, hey, help me, talk to me, so normally when I do that, it's because I'm going through something. Luckily, Ansonia has caught on to that very quickly. She'll be like, what's wrong? Like, she'll know. She'll like, what's wrong? What's going on? What's going on? So I have learned that very quickly. So it's almost like a mental silence.
Right.
You're going through so much at that time, and you just want to be able to and then in different positions as well regarding titles. You can't talk
Right.
to everybody. You can't talk to everybody. You got to have that safe place. So just last week, I have to be able to I can only talk to certain people.
Yeah.
And if that certain person is gone or missing out your life, it's almost like, gosh, man, that sucks, because it's almost like having to relive something all over again. If you've ever struggled with abandonment or struggled with any kind of abuse or something, it almost makes you feel like a trigger. Right?
Well, it's re-traumatizing.
Yes,
and
it
it's
is
not just you.
traumatizing.
It's not just you, having a bad day or being overly emotional or something. When trauma happens, and relational trauma is a form of trauma, it gets locked in our nervous system.
Yeah.
And the only reason it can be triggered is because there's still something there. Once it's removed, once it's released, once it's reprocessed, which is something that we do with EMDR therapy, which is a treatment therapy to open up the central nervous system, unlock it, reprocess negative memories, negative cognitions, experiences, self-beliefs, and traumatic experiences, then the trigger is not there. And maybe you'll notice it almost like brushing up against an old wound, but it won't have the profound effect to where you relive the entire, experience or incident. And I do think that through neural repetition, we can create neural reps for vulnerability, but it takes practice, and it takes tippy-toeing into the pool of, hey, here I am. Hey, I kind of want to share this with you. Hey, are you a safe place or a safe person? And you can kind of practice it. You can ease into it. You don't have to dump everything right there with one person. Kind of wait and see, how they respond. But it is a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior and a relearned behavior. And suppression and silence can be just as harmful, as the person that's always emoting and speaking out. So you have to use your voice. And you know what? One last thing I do want to say about this. If you don't know what to say to someone, you can just say, I hear you, I'm with you, and then demonstrate it. So like, I have friends, and I've done this with people for years, and it's like great thing that harvest or that return back in my life. But it's like, I'll just text them every other day and be like, hey.
Yes.
Hey.
Demonstrate.
Or I'll send them a silly Bitmoji and be like, what you think about, just presence does so much. Presence
is so important.
I
It's so important how you said demonstrate it, right? It's so different for you to be like, oh, I love you, but then you never show it, right?
Never tell somebody I'm here for
this
you.
ain't love.
Never say I'm here for you and you need me again after watching this show. Never use that phrase. It's so cliche, and most people are not going to come back and tell you if they need you. So you have to say, I'm here for you. And how can I support? Would you like me to bring dinner? Would you like me to check on you every day? And if they say, I don't know, then just start doing it.
Just do it.
And you know what
the strong friend does. Right? We just do it. Oh, they'll act like, oh, listen, I don't want to be bothered. Well, that's okay, because I would need to let you know that I'm here, because that's how I would expect, my friend to know that they're here, and Sonia don't even let me have a minute. She knows I'm mad, and she knows that I will close up in a minute, and I would be like, and she's like, no, okay, you get a day. So tell me, you'll get a day, but you're not going to close up, because then I don't need you to walk away. She already knows, like, I'll get in a box and that's it, and I'm working on it. I know, but the fact that she realizes it. Yeah, that's important.
That's a freeze with the fight, flight, or freeze. When our amygdala is activated, which is the threat detection system of our brain, some people fight and they're like, I need help. Where have you been? I haven't heard from you. So that's the fight. Some people go ghost. It's like, did you just move to Jupiter or something? You know what I mean? And then some people shut down and freeze. But all of those reactions need support, love, and care. So don't misread it by saying, oh, well, they're just clammed up, or they're giving me the silent treatment. Sometimes the silent treatment is distress because they feel frozen.
And you know, it's interesting that you mentioned just all of those things that you guys are talking about, because I am a flight person, and I've learned how to not do that, and that's been a struggle because I'm like Nick in terms of, if you do something that invades my trigger, or something that makes me feel like you're not there, you're uncomfortable, or you do something to offend me, if we're not going to talk about it, I'm just going to shut you out of my life, because I don't need that kind of stress. And I used to say that those were my boundaries, but now I do, you know, as Nick has talked about, is I'm more open to the different things that people deal with. You know, just recently, somebody that I thought was very close to me, just, I guess I offended them, but didn't know how to communicate that. And that's the most frustrating thing for me as a friend, because I'm a communicator. And so I want to dialogue with, you know, what I've had to learn is there are people out there that can't communicate like I can. And so they use other mechanisms, like the flight or fight thing, or they just shut completely down. But even if you decide that you want to interact with me by, email or texting or whatever, there still has to be some dialogue for us to be able to come to some common ground. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to agree that I offended you or not agree. But at least I know what I've done or didn't do that can help this relationship to flourish. And what I like about some of the things that we've already talked about is, in my relationships, I tell people what I need now. I've always, one of my pastor in San Antonio told me, and I had to learn this because I've always felt like you should just know me and you should know what I need. And he said, people don't know what you need. There are some friends that are very in tune with you, can connect with you on a level, and they know, spiritually, they're there. But there are people that he's one of them. He's like, I can't read those type of signals. If you need money, you need to come to me and say, I need money. If you need food, you need to come and say, I need food. If you need nurturing or counseling, or you're having problems with your children, he said, shutting down is not going to get you what you need. And I had to really process that, because I was just that person. You just need to know. You're with me. We talk every day, or we talk once a week. My relationship, you should just know. But I've found that that's not true. And I've lost some good friendships because I just, they weren't there for me, in my opinion. But I never did, after we talked later on, I never did communicate what my needs were. And so I think if we don't get anything out of this with our strong friends, is that you have to communicate what your needs are. And yes, for us strong friends, it is definitely a process, because we always say we're not open to say, I need. But I have found that my relationships flourish more when we're both transparent on what our needs are.
Yeah, very much so.
That is so important, and like you said, communication is so important, because if you're like that with me, how are you with any other relationship? I feel like it's important, and it's almost like a stepping stone on how you will treat your relationships going forward, coworkers, whatever, and that's why, even starting with my kids, I don't do the no, let's use our words, right? That's what we try to teach them. Use our words. It is so important, because if you're not communicating, right? If you're not teaching them at a young age to use your words to communicate, then it's going to be horrible going throughout life. It's not going to be good. You won't be able to continue with having these relationships based off of communication. So that is so important.
Yeah, and I think too, something else that a lot of, and I don't know, do you need, if you mute yourself, will you answer that? Okay. Anyways, I was just going to say, I think a lot of times something that people fear is rejection also. And I think that a really important word that comes up for me is the word depersonalization. So in other words, if we can really lean in and work to depersonalize the reactions or responses that we get from other people so that we're not taking them as personal rejection. And the other thing that shows up a lot for people is fear. And it's the fear of being taken advantage of. I hear it so much, so much, right? And so this fear happens and we start to build these walls, and the same walls that we erect to keep us safe are the walls that keep out the goodness and the love and the light and the opportunities and experiences for relationships and friendships that are waiting for us. So one thing that I say, and I believe this so wholeheartedly, when you are being authentic, when you are showing up in your full potential, the full expression of love and the full expression of your best and highest version of yourself, you can't be taken advantage of because you're being real. So someone else's response or reaction to you is their choice and their decision. And so you can give freely and love openly without having up all these, well, what if they do this? And I don't want them to do that. And I don't want to, okay, but oh my gosh, by the time you do that, you're not even being yourself anymore. So thinking about vulnerability and authenticity, I think, becomes really important in depersonalization.
Yeah, it almost becomes a fake relationship. A fake relationship. A fake relationship. So I had a question that was sent to me, wondering, how do you deal with the fight or flight type of strong friend? I guess that's what I had to interpret that one.
Okay, the fight or flight specifically, not freeze. Okay. So I think it's important to remember, and I don't know if you can hear the echo, but I can. I'm just saying, I want to make sure nothing's missed as we're all talking. But I think it's important to remember. It reminds me of something that 𝗲𝗂 said, like, don't be concerned with your faces. So when it comes to your friends, don't be so concerned with their expression, their outward expression, but better understanding, like, get to know their responses and their rhythm. And so I have literally sat across the table from a friend and they look like they are furious, but behind that fury is just pain and they're crying inside, because anger is a secondary emotion anyway. So if they're a fighter or a flight person, I think consistency becomes really important, because abandonment, attachment issues typically show up really frequently with right, Nick? Nick is like, with the fleers and the fighters, because they're so worried that they're going to be left. They're so worried that they're not worth it. They're so worried that they're going to have another relationship roadkill on the side of their life. So they shut down, or they're just going at it. So I think the consistency, you be consistent, you be the consistent presence. And if they're going and fighting, okay, I hear you. Okay. All right. Would you mind, if you're okay with it, can you please just maybe talk a little bit lower? I am not good with the yelling. Okay. I hear you. I get what you're saying. And listen, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but can you use more I statements? Because right now I feel like I'm being blamed. You're saying you, everything is me. So can you just say, I feel my reaction to you is this. Okay, I get where you're coming from. And why don't we put this on the shelf, and why don't we circle back tonight, maybe around 5 or 6? Because guess what? When that threat detection system is activated, the neocortex goes offline. It's like a light switch. It goes offline. So you can't, I'm not making a pass for bad behavior, by the way, but you can't fully expect that friend to be rational and logical and grounded when they're in that shutdown phase, they're frozen, or when they're in that fight phase. So again, you be consistent. You set healthy, loving boundaries, and you be the presence of love. And more than likely, they're going to come back full circle and be like, I'm so sorry. And then hopefully over time, though, the intensity of it reduces. So in other words, if they usually go on a 3-day hiatus, hopefully over time, through the boundary setting and your consistency, they go on a 3-hour hiatus. If they usually go at a level, 10, and they're yelling through the phone, hopefully after some weeks and months in the friendship, they get to a point where they can actually communicate and be like, you know what, I can say this now in a talking voice, and just know that maybe I should pause and come back to this later. So you should see some change. If you don't see any change with your boundaries and your consistency, then I would consider repositioning that friendship just a bit. Don't kick them out your life. What is this thing with kicking people out of our lives? That should be like a last resort. I mean, last. And I can give you specific examples of when. Like, it needs to be extreme crisis type stuff. But you can just lovingly readjust them.
so that you also are not being mistreated or harmed. Because silence is also, this is the last thing I'll say about this, and I have this in my book, but silence, emotional support can be weaponized. So I just also want to say that if you're going into the freeze mode, but then it becomes weaponized against you to manipulate, control, or teach you a lesson, Nick, that's another part of the conversation. I'll let you guide that. But just be aware that can be weaponized, and that's not okay.
But I think
because it becomes manipulating.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. And so whenever we have an agenda for someone else, and when we're being manipulated or coerced or controlled or shamed, shame is the other thing that comes up. You know, you, Asanya and Nick, you both talked a lot about vulnerability. Shame is the opposite of that. And I will say this, and I haven't posted this quote on my Instagram yet, but if you have not created a safe space for people to share, you kind of don't have the right to condemn them for not sharing their truth with you. So letting go of that shame and the manipulation, it's very coercive and it's very narcissistic.
That is very, very good. I think
narcissistic. Woo!
That is so good.
That word gets thrown around a lot. And you know, it's almost like, oh my gosh, are you the narcissistic person? Because you got it. We're so quick to say it out of our mouth to different people.
I know.
But have you actually had? Because you know, God will very quickly, when you're like, change that person, change that person, change that person, would be so quick to say, let me show you the mirror. Right. And as soon as they show you the mirror, you know, you realize, wait a minute, I have these tendencies. Go ahead, and Sonia, I know I cut you off.
We all have some narcissism, and we'll circle back to it, but we all have had some. The difference is when it becomes a pattern behavior and used to coerce, manipulate, or control.
Yeah, that narcissistic, we definitely need to be hitting on that, because that is definitely something that a lot of the relationships that I've seen or been through are definitely imperative there. But one thing that you said that I think is so critical to relationships is consistency. And I think for me, I don't care what we deal with, that consistency factor is critical for me. So that's what I love about my really in-circle relationships, because there's patterns and systems that we've already put in place. There's boundaries that we've set. And as long as those are intact and healthy, as you were talking about earlier, I can see that. A lot of my friends are counselors, such as myself, you know, coaches, business people, high type A personalities. But I can tell you, we know who we are, and we are able to, you know, people know me that, you know, if Ansonia gets quiet any more than 2 or 3 days, you need to come get her. Like, that is not something that she does. She is not a quiet person. I know, me and Nick, I like to use us as an example because it's evolving. And, you know, she is one that is not used to people coming to get her. And so she fights that. And we even get into it about that, because I'm like, you're not going to shut down if I have to. And I'm one of those friends, people know, I'm coming to your house. Like, if I know that God has placed us and we're in a relationship that is divine and it's a long-term relationship, I'm coming to your house and I'm going to get you, because you're not going to be in that state. We're going to do whatever it needs to take. And the other thing that I wanted to tell you earlier that I forgot to say was, there is a ministry of presence. And if I just have to come to Nick's house or any of my friends' house and just sit there while you're, you know, doing whatever, being upset, and I just sit there, I think that I had to learn that. Just going and being there for them, you know, even like with deaths, you know, people don't know how to respond. But if you just go and just sit and say nothing, go clean their house, whatever you need to do to show that you're there. It doesn't always have to be something tangible. Like, this is like you said, just go do something and let them know and demonstrate, you know, where you are in the relationship. And so consistency, I can't tell you, the demonstration of what you were talking about is so critical. When you're looking at long-term covenant relationships, you know, because I think let me ask you something. Do you not think there's levels of relationships? One of my favorite poems is Reasons, Seasons, or Lifetime Relationships or Friendships. And so that's how I categorize my relationships when I meet them. God knows I'm one of those people. Okay, so are they going to be just, temporary? Is it going to be a lifetime? Because then I know how to center myself to be able to either help that relationship evolve if that's what it needs to do, or just be in the presence of that person for the short time that we need to. So my question to you is, do you think that there are levels in your relationships or friendships?
I think that there's levels and seasons and spectrums in everything represented in life and nature, in our galaxy. You know what I mean? If you look at a rainbow, there's a spectrum. If you look at psychological assessments and testings, there's spectrums. If you look at developmental psychology, there's levels, and so there's early childhood development, and then there is young adult, and then there is sort of like there's 4 phases of life where it's like going into those yearning years, and I think that there's absolutely levels. And I think that it's important because I really do believe that every experience that we have in this earth suit is here to teach us something. Yeah. And every person that we experience is here to teach us something. And even the things that perhaps maybe felt most harmful are here so that we can learn something, so that we can evolve. And I'm not saying that they had to happen or that they happened, so I don't want to get into that sort of theology part of it. But what I'm saying is that there's something that we can grow and learn at a level. And there's levels within relationships, there's levels within friendships. And sometimes I think we try and fast forward it too quickly. And we're so intense because we see the end game. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be my best friend forever. But it's like, we need to earn, that space for that level of intimacy or that level of closeness or that level of vulnerability through time and some testing. And I don't mean testing like you're giving them a test, but just seeing how they show up in success, how they show up in times of failure, under stress. How do you show up? Because no matter how much you want to romanticize a person or a friendship, they're going to show you where they are and show you who they are. And it's up to us to accept it.
I need to say, yes. Yes, listen, I am such a show me person. My husband, even from the beginning, when we were just dating, he was saying all these wonderful words, and he could tell right off the bat that I wasn't moved by him. And I said, you know why? Because a lot of people have showed me that words mean nothing. And I said, even though it sounds wonderful and I want to jump and hug you and say, yes, I have learned that words mean nothing. Now, they do mean something to children, things like, little things like I appreciate you, thank you, things like that, even to a friendship. Yes, hearing the word thank you does make I guess the way I'm trying to say it is,
I hear you.
Telling me that you appreciate me. I appreciate that because I am an affirmation type person. I am that type of person. However, if you're telling me that you appreciate me, if you call me, if you're calling somebody bro, if you're calling somebody sis, if you're saying that's my family, if you're saying I love you and I'll be there for you and call me whenever you need me, and you got the banner and all that stuff, right? But when you are showing me that that's not the case, if you are showing me that that's not true, I immediately get turned off. It's like almost and I hate to say it this way, but this is the first thing that comes to my mind is that's disgusting. Because, you're saying one thing and you mean another. And it's almost, it says it in the Bible too, right? You can't be hot you can't be in the middle. You got to be hot or cold. Which one are you going to be? And it's disgusting in God's eyes too, for us to say that, one thing regarding God and then, but I don't know, I'm all over the place. I don't know how I feel. No, you need to know how you feel. If you really do appreciate somebody, then show it. And so I'm really big on showing. It doesn't always have to be a physical thing, or gifts or anything like that. But if just being respectful, and really showing that you appreciate, if you know that person's been there for you, things like that. It goes a long way. Just how they say when you're dating somebody, chivalry goes a long way. It does. Those little details matter. They matter.
Yeah, and I think it's the congruency that you're speaking to and looking for, because when we're incongruent, it's not matching. The demonstration of our lives isn't matching the expression of our words, and that's incongruent. And so when we're incongruent, we're sort of split in differing ways. And so one of the goals of effective treatment planning and psychotherapy and healing work is to bring congruency, to bring self-integration, so that what I'm saying and what I'm doing and how I'm presenting, they all come into alignment. And then that way that creates relational safety, because they know what to expect.
Right. So what's some tactics? Let's transition into that now. What are some tactics? We went into great detail on who the strong friend is. We went into great detail on how that strong friend could feel if things are not reciprocated, right? And you went into great detail on the mental, on how things, can start to happen when you're being treated a certain way, or how the person starts to receive how they think that they're being treated, right? Because sometimes that other person's not really trying to act that way, but it's how we are receiving it, right? On how things are relayed. So let's talk about some strategies, some tactics to do as the strong friend to make sure that you are protected, and not always, I don't want to say take offense. We throw around that word a lot. You shouldn't have got offended. Well, you shouldn't have been the offender either. There's just some things you just don't do or don't say, and you can't throw around the word offended so easily, right? If you came off ugly, and if you came off and said a certain thing wrong or whatever, maybe we should both check ourselves, but I think, but anyway, that's another topic. Let's talk about some strategies on how they should cope and deal with friendships going forward.
Yeah, I do think that, if someone tells you that you have done something to harm them, I do think that it is not our responsibility to then deny, deflect, diminish, minimalize, and and subject shift in that conversation. I think it's really important that even if you don't see it that way, that's one of the things that builds connection, is acknowledging and validating somebody else's experience and someone else's experience of you specifically. Now you get to decide if you want to change that, but I will say that if we continue to get that same feedback from healthy, safe people, so not from an audience of toxic, abusive, thinking, manipulative, highly narcissistic people, but for the most part, if it's a healthy, safe person and you're getting the same feedback that something about your tone or what you're saying or your pattern feels offensive or hurtful, I think it's a really nice opportunity to lean in and say, you know what, thank you for letting me know that, because I want to grow. I want to grow. That's letting go of ego, letting go of the fear that I have to be right. So that's important, I think, in relationships and friendships, that to drop the idea, just dropping even the idea of right. I want connection. I want connection. I want authenticity. I want healing. I didn't sign up for this so that I could be harmed further. Hello? I didn't sign up for this so that I could wear 5 more masks than I was already wearing before this. I signed up for this so that I can be real and be authentic. Also, I do think it's important that you kind of screen your friends a little bit. Do a little screening process.
That's important. That is so important. Listen, talking about probation, jobs do it for probationary, that you do a screening, right? We talked about this a couple shows back. When we were talking about dating, remember that? And so you were talking about dating. And I said, I believe in the 90-day probationary period, because they do it when I was working as a director over HR, when I was in corporate America, we had to make sure the 90 days is implemented for a reason, because a person can only lie for so long. Right? They can only put on a show for so long. So yeah, the resume looks great. You passed your background check. So all that means is you're not a felon, right? And you could have made up some references, right? Okay, so let's see for 90 days is if what you are saying on your resume is accurate. If what you are saying on your resume is accurate, because it will start to show. So if you're dating someone and they're like, I do this, okay, great. They'll show it for a little bit. They'll show it for a little bit, but then eventually, little by little things will start to come out, right? Now, eventually, when those little things come out, smart people, they don't throw it all out at one time, right? They don't they don't do it all at one time. But what they will do is, you'll see a little thing, and you kind of go, okay, that's okay. That was just a little thing. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, you have all these problems now, because little by little, they let it out the bag, right? And within those 90 days, you will probably see some characteristics that you really don't like, but we have to take responsibility sometimes, because we will see it, and we'll kind of go, no, maybe they were having a bad week or a bad month, because that's not the person I know. So it is so important. When you said to screen them, I'm serious. I screen everybody. And I think it's just because I'm an observer by nature. So I think because of that, it helps me. I will observe how they interact with their other friends. How do they interact with their family? Are they always talking bad about so-and-so? Are they angry all the time? Did something slip out when they got mad at me and they just showed their real self within 15 seconds, and then they had to snap back and go, oh, I'm not, I just had a moment. No, it's little things. It's the little things that you really got to piece together like a puzzle to go, okay, so I'm starting to see this real person. All right, sorry to cut you off, but I had to say that because that is so important. Screen them.
That is so good. No, I was enjoying every word that you were saying and the energy that you were bringing in with. And it's so true. And I also think, though, if you grew up in an environment where caregiver, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, foster parent, whoever it was, if they were harmful in any way, and it may not have even been like physical abuse, for example, or sexual abuse, or it may not have been yelling, but it could have even just been constantly gaslighting and shaming and emotional abuse or emotional manipulation. If you're used to that pattern, which a lot of parents parent with that style, I'll be very honest with you. We've had a lot of family sessions that do a lot of work around that in my work before. But if you're used to that, then your pattern in friendship might be to excuse those, like you were just saying, Nix, those, when you see that fruit falling from the tree, you'll just dismiss it. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Well, they said everything. Well, they said they didn't mean it like that. Well, they have an excuse or a reason for everything, and you're ignoring the pattern that your friend is displaying to you. So I think that also, in order to properly screen, you have to become healthy yourself. You have to start to know what red flags are, orange flags are, and green flags are. And the key is that we want to look for mostly green flag, I got tongue tied, green flag friendships and green flag relationships.
Yes to all of that. Yes, because if you're not healthy yourself and you don't know who you are, right? And even, some people will also, should I say that, Lord? Because I don't want to, offend people, but I'm just going to say it because it's our show. We can say it. Some people, okay, will prey on those who know that they're just learning about themselves. Right.
True.
If they know that they are just learning about who they are, they can prey on you and know, okay, this person's still new, they're still a baby. So let me sneak right in and act like I'm this and this so that they could start to trust me. And then boom,
Right.
and it's
Right.
gosh, and I see it time and time after especially those that I counsel. I hear that story all the time, and it's always with the women who are so soft spoken, who are just learning about who they are, little things like that, and it's really sad, but yeah, yeah, yep. Sonia,
No,
were you
you're
about
so
to say
right.
something?
You're so right. Those are good points that you can be vulnerable to being preyed upon, in those kinds of ways until you up level your awareness. And sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. But once you know, you can do differently and do better.
And I was just gonna just kind of add a little bit to what you were saying in terms of your 90-day probationary period, but that's why I'm very slow to call you friend. And for that reason, because friend is not something that I just throw around. I have very high expectations of what a friendship looks like. I've been told that you're not an average relationship person because I'm very relational, and I enjoy healthy friendships. I enjoy, as I shared with you, the deep connecting kind of friendships. And so it's very, but I never call you friend until we've been through something. And I tell people that all the time. We can be in a relationship for, 6 months, but if we haven't had a spat or anything of that nature, I'm not calling you friend because I don't know what that looks like for you. Until we get into something that is not, where we're not in agreement, or something that pricks you or even me, and we haven't went through some level of confusion or just anything that could, stem a different conversation of where we're on different sides. Because after that is when you start understanding the relationship dynamics of what you have, and if there's even any longevity to it. Because after that argument, it's like we talked about earlier, they're either going to leave or stay. You're going to find out the dynamics of your relationship during that time. And I tell people all the time, sometimes, one thing that you say is because I don't like to spend no nonsense time on relationships. And I know that's something that I have to work on. So I literally press the issue of us disagree, because I'm ready to get to that point. Let's get it over with. Are we going to make it? And so I'm a challenger. People always tell me that I'm a pusher, I'm a challenger, and I'm going to challenge you in some area. And it's not like
I hate it.
It's not that it's just I make up some argument and we have it. It's just in an area that we're dealing with, that we're talking about, and I can tell that we're not going to agree. So I push it because I want to see what that's going to look like for us. Is that crazy?
No, because let me tell you a story. I did that to my husband. When we were dating, when he proposed to me. I had, of course, when you get engaged, you have all these doubts, right? Oh my God, what are you doing? Did you date long enough? Did you not? Did you do this? And then my mom said something. She said, "Have you seen him at his worst?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Have you seen him upset yet?" And I said, "I've seen him, when he was on the phone and he was kind of upset." She goes, "No. Have you seen this man angry?" And I said, "Well, no. You need to see this man angry first. Because what if he's abusive? What if he breaks stuff? What if you need to know how he is when he's upset." And it stuck with me. And so I did. And honey, if you're watching, blame mom. I remember he was at work, and I was, at this time I was living in San Antonio. He was still living in Austin. And I remember I started in a little tit for tat on purpose. And he was supposed to come pick me up later on that evening for to have our date or whatever. And when I got in the car, I made sure to still have an attitude. I was like, "No, we're not going to that restaurant until we talk about it." And he was like, "Okay, what would you like?" But he was still being calm. And he never called me on my name. I mean, I went in. I was I needed to egg him because I'm about to marry you and we have never been in an argument ever. I need to know, how are we going to argue? And I know that's horrible, but I had to, because I'm about to marry this man and we have never had any disagreement. Everything was just rainbows and butterflies, right? I know that's not always going to be that way. And I don't want to be stuck already married. And then I'm like, crap, how do I get out of this? And no, I saw him get mad. And what he did was he got out of the car and he started walking, because he said that he didn't want to come off like he was disrespectful or anything like that. He never called me out my name. He never broke anything. He didn't even act like he looked like he was gonna hit me. None of that stuff. And then I apologized forever. I was cooking this man so much. I was like, listen, I am not upset. I had to tell him the whole story. He was like, what? You did this? And I mean, I made up for it for like almost a year, but I just had to. But it's so true to test it, and not, and I definitely don't suggest doing it on purpose like I did. But if you are already in an argument or already in a disagreement, seeing how this is going to go. No, I want to talk to you. Are you going to talk to me? No, you're not. Okay. Okay, fine. You're not going to talk to me, but are you going to come back and talk later? Am I going to see you and you're going to be nice, or are you going to still have an attitude? These are very important things, because then that lets me know if you are true, if you're legit, to make sure you're not counterfeit, because if you're counterfeit, the ink's going to wear off. I forgot you were muted, Ansonia. Go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting for Junice to weigh in, but yes, I that's it. That is all, for me. I just think that, and because of who I am, my relationships have always been with men, because, growing up, I was very direct. You guys know that, very assertive. I have a very strong personality, and I try, people don't believe me, but I do try to tame it down, but then I become not me, and so I just said, okay, fine. So when I was growing up, my circle were a lot of male friends, and literally they were just male friends. And we would go out and party together, but I could be myself with them. I have an engineering mind, so I don't have time for all that, bickering and fighting and all that kind of. That's just not my nature. I go in, I say what I have to say, you say what you have to say, we agree to disagree, and we're done. With men, it's like that. Most of the ones that I've come across, I can say, they're not offended because of how I said it. They don't, and they just don't get offended by all that little stuff that, I wouldn't even think I offended you with. And so, some of us as females, and this is definitely not a female bashing at all, but, sometimes we're just so sensitive to, and I do understand that our backgrounds and how we grew up, all of that plays a part, and that has triggers. I get that. But just on a level of where, being able to communicate that you've been offended, to be able to communicate that you don't like that, or just being able into a place where you're able to just articulate, just where you are or where you're not. I've had friends that say, I'm not a strong communicator, Ansonia, and so you're not going to get that type of, that level of feedback from me. But I think, what you said earlier is that eventually they grow into it, because I'm not going to come down to your level just temporarily, but then eventually we're going to have to meet, at a medium where you are going to have to open up a little bit, so there can be some, interaction with us that's vulnerable, and so I just, I just think that all of those, key components are just good in relationships. But I know for me, men have always been great friends for me in the past. I have learned through my own, counseling that I've had, and, how to really come across in a different, not be so strong when I'm coming across, not be so passionate, because I'm very passionate about things, and, really kind of help people to be able to come to me. I have so many people that come to me now, and, they always have, but I don't lose so many people just because of how passionate I am. So that's exciting for me.
Uh-oh. Did I
No,
mute
I'm
you,
still here.
Janice?
I'm
Oh,
still
no, I
here,
didn't.
just
Okay.
allowing space.
I'm on a muting spree. I had to make sure.
I'm muting.
That's good. That's good. That's really good. And then I also had a inbox message asking for Janice, wanting to know, how do you think that this happens in ministries, where a leader can be so strong that they actually end up bleeding on another person or hurting someone along the way?
Of course, because I think that if we're not careful, we'll look at ministries or government or celebrity or whatever kind of construct and title that you want, and we'll look at it and think that this exempts us of humanity. You know what I mean? And so I think that too, if we're not careful, there can be a lot of spirituality and ministry that is used as a coping mechanism to not deal with things. And I think that that's when it's not helpful. I think it's most helpful when it does help us to heal and to look at ourselves. And so absolutely, a person in leadership can absolutely, maybe vicariously harm someone. Maybe they didn't realize it, for one. It's not that everything that happens to us or towards us is always with intent. It's not that people go to sleep at night, dreaming of how they can be harmful to another person. There are some people that do that, but that's much rare. So of course, I think absolutely that can happen. When you say a leader coming off too strong, I probably would need to know a little bit more about what that person who's asking the question means by that. But if you mean somebody that does not have a good set of filters and self-regulation for how they communicate, then that's probably something that a leader needs to work on, because that's not coming off too strong. That's being inconsiderate or being rude or being brash, if you will. And so we don't have, in order to get things done, we don't have to hurt people. And so, yeah, I hope that answers the question. It could be a very broad question, but my answer to that is yes. I think that we all have to remember that, except for God himself, like none of us are perfect. And so we don't want to just look at people with certain titles and be like, oh, well, that doesn't ever happen there. Well, yeah, it can. And this is why we need healing and authenticity in conversations like this so that we can move forward and grow.
Well, as we're getting, this has just been an excellent discussion, and I'm so excited. I just wanted to know if there's any other last words or information that you would like to give our viewers before we find out how we can connect with you.
Sure. Yes. Self-compassion. Be patient with yourself in the process. Become curious about life and relationships and friendships like an adventure. Meet each day as a new curiosity and a whimsical opportunity to learn more and to grow. And recognizing that we don't attract so much what we want, but we attract who we are. So sometimes that's great news for some of us and really difficult news for others, or one and all the same. But as you change what's on the inside, you're going to change what you're drawing in your life. And don't be afraid to open up your hands to lovingly release some friendships or relationships if need be, if it feels like you're holding on too tight, because guess what, on the other side of that, it always makes space for those relationships and friendships that are in alignment with where you are and with the divine plan for your life. So don't hold on so tightly, because you're taking up space. And when you let go of that fear and you let go of that particular situation, oftentimes you're like, oh my goodness, why didn't I do this sooner? Look at how beautiful this garden of my life now is, because I've let those other things or people go.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. This has been a really good topic and discussion. And if you all out there that are listening to us have any last minute questions for our guests, please put those in there. We'll get those answered really fast. But tell us, how can we connect with you, stay connected to you? Where can we find you? If there's people out there that really want to come in and do some counseling with you, how can they do that?
Sure. You can go to 𝗬𝗏TherapyInstitute.com. That's our landing page. You can subscribe for updates on live events, courses, resources. I also have a really nice resource and referral page for national resources. So if you just need like a mental health support hotline or emotional support, you just need someone to talk to or to text, or if you're dealing with a specific crisis, something COVID related, substance abuse, domestic violence, there's resources and referrals in there. And we also have some amazing therapists on there that are here in Texas and in other places around the country that are therapists specializing in different areas on that 𝗃𝗏therapyinstitute.com page. And you can follow me on Instagram, 𝗃𝗏therapy.
Thank you for that.
So I hope to see you out there. Oh, I forgot to mention, and my team will get me if I don't, there's a podcast too. Subscribe to the podcast if you choose, because sometimes people are like, we want to hear more. So just go to the 𝗃𝗏therapy podcast. That's iTunes and Spotify.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We have really enjoyed our time with you.
Yes. I made sure to write your information down in the comments as well, so that people know how to, because I know when we talk, people are like, what, wait, what? I didn't have no pen, so that they can go in and look it up later on throughout the afternoon and things like that. So, but I know I was blessed to have you, just to even say yes to being on the show, because I know you're a very busy woman. And so I'm just blessed to even have your presence on our show. So I thank you so much. Anything else you got going on? You got a book? Anything you want people to support?
If you go to the landing page, you'll stay in touch. We have so many exciting things happening, which I'm so grateful for. But you can subscribe for updates and details there. And my caseload is full right now, so I'm not taking new patients and clients, but I'm here to support and here to come and speak at your next event, something like this, and just to be a resource in our community any way that I can. So I appreciate you having me too, and it was nice spending the first part of my life with you all.
Well, you can definitely know, as I've shared with you before, when this COVID breaks, we are going to have another conference. I will be having another conference. I think Nick will probably be my host, as we are now, my co-host with me on that. And so we will definitely be inviting you, because I think this is such a critical, just mental health period in all relationships and dealing with just everything that we're dealing with right now. I think it's so important that we have people such as yourself on our panel to speak to people. You are just a beautiful spirit. I have just enjoyed you from afar. Just even when you come and speak at our church at times, it is such a blessing. You're just so graceful, and I love it about you. So thank you for, just saying yes to us. Us little people down here. We thank you so
We're all
much.
the same size in my world.
And you know what? You have definitely proven that. But thank you so much for just saying yes to us. We love you and appreciate you so much. Nick, any last minute words for us?
You're welcome. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you.
Yes. If you would like to advertise with us, we have a lot of people in our inbox DMing us and sending us emails asking how we can promote their business. Our email is up on the screen right now, globaltalkexperience@gmail.com. And we will be more than happy to show off a little bit of things that you have going on. We always like to give out a hint. We love candles. So if you want us to promote your candles, we will be more than happy. But what I'm wearing, are you wearing anything today, Sonia? Okay, what I'm wearing today, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's got two chains right here, these two little diamonds, and her name is Chakra. And she has amazing jewelry, and it's 𝗃𝗏.com. And I will make sure to put that in the comments as well. And this was only $14, you guys. So this is beautiful, and it comes with a pair of earrings as well. And she has amazing different jewelry. She even has waist beads, which I know are very popular right now. And if you're into all those crystals and things like that, she has that as well. So her name is Chakra, and it's 𝗃𝗏.com. And I will make sure to put that in the comments as well. But anyways, it has been a blessed blessed,
Can I
blessed Thursday with the Global Talk Experience. Once again, we thank you guys so much, ladies and men out there, for tuning in and supporting us and loving us and sharing and commenting and engaging with us. And if you have anything that you would that you were still wanting to ask Miss Janice, but as some of them, I guess, were too afraid to put it in the comments, so they're messaging me, then just let me know and I will go ahead and send the message over to her, and maybe she'll answer it at a later time, at a later date. But anyways, we love you all. We thank you guys so much. Peace and blessings to your day, and we'll see you again on the Global Talk Experience. Bye.
We forgot to promote.
Hold
Oh,
on.
we're still.